Firstly, apologies. Kind of in line with what we're about to read today, I am currently looking after my dog who is making a noise in the background. Today's extract is from The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which is set in 1998 in Swindon. 15-year-old Christopher, who has autism, investigates his neighbour's poodle's murder. Despite warnings, he unravels a complex web involving his parents' relationships. He stumbles upon letters from his supposedly deceased mother and learns about his father's deception. Frightened, he leaves for London to live with his mother, facing challenges along the way. Ultimately, he reconciles with his parents and excels academically, planning to attend university. His journey's trials lead to newfound confidence. In this extract, Christopher discovers the unfortunate dog. Here are your 3 questions. Number 1. What was the condition of the dog when Christopher found it in front of Mrs. Shear's house? Number 2. Why did Christopher believe the dog was killed with a garden fork? And number 3. How did Christopher feel when he first saw the picture Siobhan showed him? It was 7 minutes after midnight. The dog was lying on the grass in the middle of the lawn in front of Mr. Shears's house. Its eyes were closed. It looked as if it was running on its side, the way dogs run when they think they are chasing a cat in a dream. But the dog was not running or asleep. The dog was dead. There was a garden fork sticking out of the dog. The points of the fork must have gone all the way through the dog and into the ground because the fork had not fallen over. I decided that the dog was probably killed with the fork, because I could not see any other wounds in the dog, and I do not think you would stick a garden fork into a dog after it had died for some other reason, like cancer for example, or a road accident. But I could not be certain about this. I went through Mrs. Shears's gate, closing it behind me. I walked onto her lawn and knelt beside the dog. I put my hand on the muzzle of the dog. It was still warm. The dog was called Wellington. It belonged to Mrs. Shears, who was our friend. She lived on the opposite side of the road, 2 houses to the left. Wellington was a poodle, not one of the small poodles that have hairstyles, but a big poodle. It had curly black fur, but when you got close you could see that the skin underneath the fur was a very pale yellow, like chicken. I stroked Wellington and wondered who had killed him, and why. My name is Christopher John Francis Boone. I know all the countries of the world and their capital cities. And every prime number up to 7057. 8 years ago, when I first met Siobhan, she showed me this picture. I knew it meant sad, which is what I felt when I found the dead dog. Then she showed me this picture, and I knew that it meant happy, like when I am reading about the Apollo space missions, or when I am still awake at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning, and I can walk up and down the street and pretend that I am the only person in the whole world. Then she drew some other pictures, but I was unable to say what these meant. And here are the answers to your questions. Question number 1. The dog was lying on the grass with its eyes closed, appearing as if it were running in a dream. It had a garden fork sticking out of it. Number 2. Christopher believed the dog was killed with the garden fork because he couldn't see any other wounds on the dog, and it was probably unlikely that somebody would stick a garden fork in it after it was dead. And number 3. When Christopher first saw the picture, he felt sad, which is what he also felt when he found the dead dog. Thank you very much for listening, and if you have any recommendations of your own, please do let me know.